A sharp knock echoed through Shola's small Lagos office, loud enough to make her jump and almost drop the tablet she was holding. The knock wasn't normal. No rhythm, no courtesy. Just urgent and deliberate, like someone trying to kick down the door. She was on a video call with 3 Korean investors, pitching her AI-powered fintech platform in flawless Korean, a language she'd sworn she'd never speak again. And that's why our market penetration in West Africa will yield 340% ROI within 18 months, she finished smoothly. Her voice carrying the kind of confidence that made grown men in boardrooms lean forward. The investors nodded, impressed. One smiled. Ms. Adebayo, you remind me of someone. Your Korean is remarkably. Another knock. Louder. Urgent. Shola's jaw tightened. Gentlemen, give me one moment. She muted the call, irritation flashing across her face. Her assistant knew better than to interrupt investor calls. Before she could stand, the door swung open with a force that made the hinges whine. Daehyun stepped inside. The breath left her body. The investors on her screen were still talking, their faces tiny rectangles of animation. She couldn't hear them anymore. The room had collapsed into a single, impossible moment. The man who broke her heart and soul. The man who begged her to erase him. The man she spent 4 years rebuilding herself to forget, was suddenly standing in her office as if summoned by every prayer she'd stopped praying. She ended the call without a word. Get out, she said, her voice low, lethal. Shola. I said get out. He closed the door behind him instead. I know I don't deserve even a second of your time. Then why are you wasting it? She stood slowly, every inch of her radiating controlled fury. You have 10 seconds to explain why you're in my office before I call security. His eyes found hers instantly, wide and filled with something raw. Regret, hope, fear. She didn't care. She didn't want to care. Shola. He breathed out, his voice cracking. I came because I found out the truth about the baby. Her heart stopped. Every feeling she thought she had mastered, anger, grief, betrayal, shot through her all over again. He continued, his voice barely stable. You told me. You actually told me, and I never saw your message. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Liar. I'm not lying. You told me to forget you, she spat. You told me to pretend none of it happened. You made your choice. I respected it. Daehyun flinched as if struck. I was scared, he whispered. Not an excuse. My family. Not an excuse. She turned away, fighting the burn behind her eyes. She didn't want to cry. She didn't want to give him the satisfaction of seeing even a drop of emotion. Shola, please look at me, he begged quietly. No. Shola. No. She spun around, her voice cracking from how hard she was holding herself together. You don't get to walk back into my life and pretend you're the victim. I begged you to listen. I begged you to stay with me. You chose your empire. You chose your board. You chose your stupid dynasty over us. Silence thickened the room. He closed his eyes. I know how much I hurt you. And I wake up every day regretting it. She laughed bitterly. Congratulations. Do you want an award? His jaw tightened. I came because I want to see my son. The room went dead still. Her pulse hammered. How do you even know he's a boy? She asked softly. Daehyun swallowed. I saw a picture on your website. The team group photo. And he looks exactly like me. Shola stiffened. 'Cause he did. Jaehyun had Daehyun's dimples, his dark eyes, his serious expression, even the tiny mole under his left eye. But hearing him say it brought a sharp ache to her chest. You lost the right to call him your son the day you walked away, she murmured. Daehyun stepped closer, desperation in every movement. Please, Shola. Just let me see him once. Please. That's all I'm asking. She didn't respond. Her mind was already spinning back to the moment everything shattered in Seoul. Back to when everything began, when she still believed in fairy tales. Shola had arrived in Seoul full of hope, wide-eyed and determined. She had never expected a tech fellowship to change her life, But it did. From the moment she bumped into a tall Korean guy in the hallway of the innovation hub, coffee spilling on both of them. "Great start," she muttered. "Terrible start," he corrected, laughing softly, handing her tissues. She didn't know his name then. She didn't know he was the future CEO of Koreans Group, one of the most powerful tech empires in Korea. She didn't know he was hiding from his own life. He introduced himself simply as Daehyun. No titles, no status. Just a warm, humble man who liked coding more than boardrooms and found peace in things ordinary billionaires never enjoyed, like street food, long walks, and conversations at 2 a.m. He sought her out every day. She didn't notice at first. He would appear at her coding desk with iced tea. He would walk her to the dorms. He would help her fix bugs she didn't even ask him to fix. Then came the night she realized she liked him more than she intended. They were sitting on the rooftop of the hub, the city lights glowing beneath them, a soft breeze brushing their faces. "You're different," he said quietly. "How? You don't want anything from me." She laughed. "What would I even want from you?" He smiled, avoiding her eyes. "Everything. Most people do." She had nudged him playfully. "Well, I'm not most people." "No," he whispered, turning to her fully. "You're not." The kiss happened before she realized it. Gentle at first, hesitant, then deeper, desperate, full of emotion neither wanted to name. It felt like destiny, until destiny came crashing down. The memory twisted like a knife, dragging her back to the night that broke her. She had stood in his luxury apartment, clutching the test results with hands trembling uncontrollably. "Daehyun, I'm pregnant." Time froze. For a moment he simply stared. No reaction, no words, no breath. Then something cold entered his eyes. Something she had never seen before. You can't be serious." "I am," she whispered. He paced. No, my family. They'll destroy you. They'll take the baby. They'll use it to control me. This can't happen. Not now." "Daehyun," she whispered, stepping forward. "It's our baby." His voice broke. "Shola, you don't understand what my family is capable of. You don't know. Then fight for us." "I can't." The words stabbed deeper than any blade. She felt everything inside her crumble. "So you're choosing them," she whispered. Tears filled his eyes, but his jaw stayed firm. "I'm choosing survival." That was the night she walked away from him forever. She had packed her bags, left Seoul before dawn, and returned to Lagos with nothing but a broken heart and a life growing inside her. She didn't tell anyone the full story. Not her mother. Not her friends. She simply said the fellowship ended, and she was ready to build her future. And she did. She built an empire from the ground up. She raised her son alone. She learned to speak Korean fluently not because she missed Daehyun, but because she refused to let that language, that culture, remain a wound. She turned it into a weapon, a tool, proof that she had conquered what tried to destroy her. Back in the present, Shola blinked away the memory. She sighed deeply, her voice calmer but still edged with guarded pain. "Even if I allow you to see him, what then? You disappear again. You go back to Korea and pretend he doesn't exist." "No," he stepped forward quickly. "I'm done hiding. I left Korea. I walked away from everything. I'm not going back." Shola frowned. "What are you talking about?" "I resigned from Koreans. From the board. From the empire. I left." Her mouth fell open. "You left everything?" "Yes." His voice cracked. "I walked into the boardroom 3 weeks ago and told my mother, the shareholders, everyone, that I was done. She said I'd lose my inheritance. My brother said I was weak. The media called me a disgrace." He laughed bitterly. "They erased my name from the company website within an hour." Shola stared at him, searching his face for a lie. "I had $800 million in stock options," he continued quietly. "Gone. A penthouse in Gangnam. My mother won't speak to me. My father said if I walked out that door, I'd never be his son again." He stepped closer, eyes raw. So I walked out. I got on a plane with one suitcase and a phone full of unanswered messages from people begging me to come back. His voice dropped to a whisper. But the only message I cared about was the one I never saw 4 years ago. The one where you told me you were carrying our child. Shola's hands trembled. She clasped them together to stop it. I don't want your pity, she said coldly. I'm not asking for pity, he said. I'm asking for a chance to be the man I should have been 4 years ago. I will not lose my son. I will not lose you again. Her heart pounded, confused, angry, overwhelmed. It was too much. Too sudden. Too painful. She backed away from him slowly. I need time. Daehyun nodded. I'll give you anything. Just don't shut me out. She didn't respond. Instead, she walked toward the door and opened it. Come back tomorrow, she whispered. I'll think about it. Daehyun nodded again, eyes soft, grateful, broken. I'll be here. He stepped out and she closed the door quietly behind him. The moment he was gone, her legs gave out, and she sank to the floor, shaking violently. She didn't know what scared her more, the pain of letting him back in, or the pain of realizing she still wasn't over him. Shola sat on the office floor long after he left, her breath uneven, her heart refusing to slow down. She pressed both palms against her face, fighting the rush of emotions flooding her chest. How dare he show up after all these years? How dare he say he left everything, as if that could erase the pain he caused? She didn't know how long she stayed like that until she heard one of her staff knocking gently. Ma'am, are you okay? Shola wiped her face quickly. Yes, I'm fine. Just needed a moment. But she wasn't fine. Nothing about today was fine. She drove home in silence, her thoughts tangled, her emotions raw. When she entered the house, the first thing she saw was her son, Daehyun, sitting cross-legged on the living room rug, building a robot with spare tech parts he'd collected. Mummy, look, he said without glancing up. I made the arm move. His voice alone softened something deep inside her. She walked to him, kneeling beside him. Wow, she said, forcing a smile. That's impressive. He looked up then, and the moment their eyes met, Shola felt her chest tighten again. He had Daehyun's eyes. Even the same way they curved when he smiled. Are you okay, Mum? He asked softly. You look weird. She pulled him into a hug. I'm fine, baby. But as she held him, her mind replayed the moment Daehyun said he wanted to meet his son. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what the right choice was. But she knew one thing. Tomorrow would change everything. The next day arrived too quickly. At exactly 10 a.m., someone knocked on the office door. She almost didn't want to open it. But she breathed in sharply, straightened her shoulders and pulled the door. Daehyun stood there, nervous, unsure, looking nothing like the confident billionaire she once knew. He held a small white box in his hand. I brought something, he said quietly. For him. If it's okay. She hesitated, then stepped aside. Come in. He entered slowly, looking around her office like every corner held a memory. She motioned to the chair opposite her desk. Before you see him, she started. I need answers. Daehyun nodded. Ask anything. She folded her arms. Why now? Why suddenly? Why after all these years? He inhaled shakily. Because I thought I had nothing left to lose. But when the scandal happened in Korea, when everything fell apart, I realized I had already lost the only thing that mattered. Shola frowned. Your company. No. He met her eyes firmly. You. Her breath hitched. He continued, voice cracking. I thought I was protecting you by pushing you away. But all I did was destroy both of us. And when I found your email, the one you sent telling me you were pregnant, I knew I had to come. I knew I had to fix what I broke. She looked away quickly, trying to keep her expression steady. You think one apology fixes anything? No, he whispered. But it's a start. Silence fell between them, heavy and yet full of something unspoken. Finally Shola stood. Fine. You can see him. But you follow my rules, Daehyun. No drama. No trying to take him anywhere. No making promises you can't keep. I understand, he said immediately. Anything you say. She nodded once and walked toward the door that led to the office lounge where Daehyun was drawing. Her heart raced. Her palms felt damp. She wasn't ready. She didn't know if she would ever be ready. But she opened the door anyway. Baby, she called softly. Daehyun looked up, smiling. Yes, Mum. There's someone who wants to meet you, she said gently. He hopped off the couch and ran toward her. Who? She stepped aside. The moment Daehyun saw him, his knees buckled slightly. Tears filled his eyes instantly. He covered his mouth as if trying to hold back a sob. Daehyun blinked at him. Who is that? He whispered. Shola gently nudged him forward. This is someone very important. Daehyun crouched down slowly, his voice trembling. Hi, he whispered. My name is Daehyun. Daehyun stared at him curiously. Why do you look like me? The question hit the room like a shockwave. Daehyun couldn't hold it anymore. Tears slipped down his face. Because, he whispered, I'm your father. The air froze. Daehyun's eyes widened slowly. My dad. Daehyun nodded, tears falling freely. Yes, and I am so sorry I wasn't here. I am so sorry. Shola looked away, biting her lip hard to stop herself from crying. Daehyun blinked at him again, then asked innocently, Did you leave because you didn't want us? Daehyun broke completely. No, he cried. No. I left because I was stupid. 'Cause I let fear control me. But I never stopped thinking about you. I didn't know you existed, but if I had, nothing could have kept me away. Daehyun looked at him for a long moment. Then he stepped forward and hugged him. Daehyun gasped, wrapping his arms around the boy tightly, like he was afraid he would vanish if he let go. Shola had to step out of the room for a second because the moment was too much. She leaned against the wall, breathing heavily, trying to contain the storm of emotions inside her. He met his son. He actually met him. Hours later, they were all sitting in the park near the office. Daehyun sat between them, animatedly talking about school, robots, and how he wanted to build the smartest AI in Africa. Daehyun listened with awe written across his face, as if every word the child said was a miracle. When Daehyun ran ahead to play, Daehyun turned to Shola. I want to be in his life, he said quietly. Not just today. Not just for a moment. I want to be his father. Properly. Shola stared at him, torn. And what about me? He swallowed. I want to fix us too. If you'll let me. Daehyun. She shook her head slowly. You hurt me. You broke me in a way I can't even explain. You walking away destroyed something inside me. I know, he whispered. And I'm willing to spend the rest of my life rebuilding it. She looked away, jaw tight. You think love is enough to fix this? No, he said simply. But effort will. And consistency. And choosing you every single day. Not like before. Not in secret. Not in fear. Her chest tightened. He continued, voice low. I want to stay in Nigeria for now. I want to learn your world. I want Daehyun to know me, not the version of me trapped in Korea. She looked at him sharply. Your family will come for you. I don't care. You should. No, he said, eyes firm. Not anymore. She exhaled slowly. Daehyun, this isn't a fairy tale. I'm not the girl you left in Seoul. I'm not waiting to be rescued. I don't want to rescue you, he said softly. I want to walk beside you. The sincerity in his voice shook her. But fear still held part of her heart hostage. We'll take it one step at a time, she finally said. No promises. No rushing. No big declarations. Relief washed over his face. Okay. One step at a time. Daehyun ran back to them, grabbing both their hands. Mummy. Come see what I built. Shola froze at the word dad. Daehyun did too before he smiled. his eyes shining with gratitude so deep it made her chest ache. They followed their son, walking side by side. For the first time in years, Shola felt something she had forced herself to forget. Oh. The three of them spent the afternoon together, a fragile new dynamic forming between them. Daehyun showed Daehyun every invention he'd ever made, every drawing, every trophy from school. Daehyun listened to everything with the attention of a man trying to memorize every detail of a life he'd missed. When the sun began to set, painting the Lego sky in shades of orange and purple, they walked back to Shola's car together. Daehyun had fallen asleep in Daehyun's arms, exhausted from the excitement of the day. "He's beautiful," Daehyun whispered, looking down at the sleeping child. "You raised an incredible human being." "I did what I had to do," Shola said quietly. "You did more than that," he said. "You gave him a life full of love. You gave him stability. You gave him everything I should have been there to give." She unlocked the car and opened the back door. Daehyun carefully placed Daehyun in the car seat, buckling him in with a tenderness that made Shola's heart ache. When he straightened up, they stood facing each other in the fading light. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For today. For letting me meet him. For giving me a chance I don't deserve." Shola nodded, unable to trust her voice. He hesitated, then added, "I'll show you I've changed. Not with words. With actions. Every single day if you'll let me." She looked at him for a long moment, seeing both the man who broke her and the man who might be trying to become someone better. "If you hurt him," she said quietly, "I will never forgive you." "I won't," he whispered. "Not this time. Promise you, Shola. Not this time." She nodded once more, then got into her car. As she drove away, she watched him in the rearview mirror, standing under the streetlight, hands in his pockets, looking like a man who had finally found the thing he'd been searching for all his life. And for the first time in 4 years, Shola allowed herself to wonder, not if she could forgive him, but if she could learn to trust him again. The road ahead was uncertain. The wounds weren't fully healed. The scars would always remain. But as she glanced at her sleeping son in the back seat, she realized something profound. Daehyun deserved to know his father. He deserved the chance to build a relationship with a man whose face he saw in the mirror every day. And maybe, just maybe, she deserved the chance to heal too. Not by forgetting what happened. Not by pretending the pain never existed. But by choosing consciously and carefully to move forward, one step at a time. Sometimes love isn't about perfect beginnings. Sometimes it's about the courage to rebuild after everything falls apart. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is give someone a second chance, not because they've earned it, but because you've decided you're strong enough to risk your heart one more time. As the city lights of Lagos twinkled around her, Shola smiled softly to herself. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning again. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Afro-Korean drama stories. Your support helps more people discover these powerful narratives. And I've got many more twists, heartbreaks, and second chances coming your way.